Thank you, Mark. It is an exciting time that college basketball is right around the corner. Our team, obviously, as you try to push forward on a national scale in college basketball, the sustainability part, and when you've experienced the success that we've had over the last 6 or 7 years, then obviously the push toward the excellence of even moving forward becomes tougher and tougher. But it's something that we're excited to be a part of. I really enjoyed coming to the gym with this team. I think our guys, Ed and Carl, who are here, we had a blue-white scrimmage on Saturday that I think we kind of lost our identity. Didn't play very well, didn't compete at a very high level from our returning players' standpoint. I think whenever you're trying to push forward, obviously the strength of your team is going to be with the experienced players. And we've got some talented newcomers that are trying to figure their way out, but the experience of our team is who's got to lead us. Our schedule this year, we have a chance to play 10 teams out of the first 12 games, or 9 teams out of the first 12 that went to NCAA or the NIT tournament. I don't think it could be in the top 10 of non-conference schedules in college basketball, but that's what we have to do. Last year was ranked about 25th or 26th, and in order for us, when the selection committee looks at your schedule, to even have a chance, if you've proven that you're not trying to do everything you can from at least the scheduling part of it, not beating them, but just the scheduling part, then it'll look in a different direction. So I think our non-conference schedule is going to test us tremendously. That's what we wanted. And then I think our league as a whole, I think hopefully the league is growing and growing. I heard Rick say it. The whole thing about everybody asking Conference USA be a multi-bid team league. Well, it can for sure, but we have to schedule the right way, and then our teams in our league, including Middle Tennessee, have to win games in November and December. So those first 2 months of the year will be critical to answering the question of whether we can be in the conversation, because last year, whether you say or not, if we get beat in the championship game by Marshall, obviously RPI was in the low 30s, non-conference wins that we had over SEC teams, I think we get in as an at-large team. So it sure can be done in our league.
Coach, right away you mentioned the schedule. From an on-court basketball perspective, how does that tough non-conference schedule prepare you guys for later on the conference schedule?
Well, here, the non-conference, because you don't get a lot of mulligans when you're in Conference USA. So you just don't get credit for playing them. You've got to win. You have to be perfect, but you've got to win. And so there's a lot of, I think, and I try to put a lot of heat and extra, not pressure, but game-like a semblance on our team right now in practice, because I know how good we have to be in November. And just not there. Now you can have slip-ups, and then you still got your regular season and try to win your conference tournament. But we all have to understand how important some of those early November games are. And so there's no question now we're going to be, when you look at Ole Miss, Vanderbilt, Auburn, and then you got Murray State, Belmont, Florida Gulf Coast twice, maybe as good as any team on our schedule. And then you go the Classic in Hawaii, and you have a chance to play Princeton, who should have beat Notre Dame the first round of the tournament, USC, Miami, Akron, Davidson, New Mexico. All these. So it just goes on and on and on. So our team will be very well tested.
Coach, you just look around the conference. Obviously this team has kind of by now established itself as the team to beat. How do you think you guys stack up, just against Conference USA teams?
Well, everybody in the league would have loved to have played us Saturday on the blue-white game. I promise you, they'd have loved to have been in Murphy Center on Saturday about 11. We wouldn't have had too much success against anybody then. But I do think that our team will compete, I hope, really competitively for the Conference USA Championship. I do think, our league, Western's gotten a lot better. I think UTEP has 4 starters back. UAB gets Norton back and could have maybe 3 guys on the all-conference preseason team. Marshall is moving forward, Old Dominion. So I just think that our league is getting better and better.
I know you might be less concerned about where you fare in the state, but just curiously, do you think by now this program has established itself as, or at least right now, as the top basketball program in the state of Tennessee?
I know one thing, we can play with anybody in our state. I can say one thing, there's a lot of really good basketball programs in the state of Tennessee, some excellent coaches, and I think you'll see more and more teams, in Memphis and Tennessee who have great basketball tradition. But I think over the last 6 or 7 years, I don't think there's any question that we're one of the top ones. And obviously, let's just keep trying to propel our team. Last year was the first time we've been ranked as a team, 25th in the last coaches poll. So all those things, we've hit a lot of firsts, but now we've got to be able to have, really good sustainability.
when you look at the guys that have come back, how have they sort of just responded to the loss of, Ja'Cory and Reggie and sort of the identity shift that takes place when you lose a couple of guys like that?
Yep, because those guys are terrific. Not only are they their talent, but their toughness and basketball IQ. And if you can combine toughness with basketball IQ, you can play at any level. And so I think the strength of our team, I mean, obviously the experienced guards that are back. When you got Ed Simpson and Giddy Potts, who've been there 4 years, Antoine and Tyreek's played a lot of minutes. Carl Gamble's got to make a big step forward. That's what good programs do. Whether you're at Gonzaga or Wisconsin or wherever, all of a sudden here comes these guys that their role shifts. And they become a guy, maybe a lesser role, that they average 13 or 14 a game, 7 or 8 rebounds, and they're mentioned to all league teams. So we've got to have guys like Brandon Walter, Carl Gamble, those kind of guys to make big steps forward.
Coach, I know you and I have talked about how you have an overabundance of really talented, experienced guards. How are you going to be able to mesh all of those guards, and are you going to have to come up with some pretty interesting guard combinations?
Well, I think all those guys are right now competing for starting positions on our team, because after Saturday's scrimmage, there's a lot of stuff that's up for grabs with our team. And, so from everybody, from Tyreek to Giddy to Ed to Antoine. So, hopefully we have a push from Theron Schmidt, a freshman that can come up and give us some he's a talent, but he's a talent that's trying to learn right now. There may be at times, it depends on how good our bigs play, that we could play 4 guards together. We tried it the other day in the blue-white scrimmage where we can get Ed and Tyreek and maybe Antoine and Giddy all on the floor at the same time, because we still got physicalness out there with a guy like Giddy, Ed, and Antoine.
From a production and leadership standpoint, how much are you going to miss Reggie this season? And will there be one person stepping into his leadership role, or will it be kind of a group effort like with Coach Hensel?
Yeah, I think if you asked anybody on our team, obviously from a leadership standpoint, the loudest voice in the gym, Giddy Potts. Ed is maybe not as vocal, but Ed's leadership by example is phenomenal, and what he does every day and how he goes about his business. But I think if you walk into our gym, every coach has walked in our gym, they can say number 20. It's kind of, he's kind of taken on the role. But all around, I think our team has become more vocal and more communicative.
All right. Referring to the absence of Reggie Upshaw this year, and then we have Ja'Cory Williams that was also lost. We have a transfer coming in to Nick King. So what do you guys expect from him, knowing that Ja'Cory had a big season last year as a transfer?
Yep. The one thing that Nick, he's a one-year guy. He's our first graduate transfer. But we've had 2 one-year guys, obviously been MVP of our league, LaRon Dindy and Ja'Cory Williams. But what they had was they had a redshirt year. They could spend 1 year in our program. Nick comes immediately eligible playing. He's a real talent. He's kind of a hybrid forward that can shoot and play make. Nick's got to get tougher on the defensive end, but he's a natural rebounder. He can make shots. He can make a 3. He can drive. His skill level is high. So he fits in perfectly with how those hybrid forwards play in our system.
With your transfers lately, why do you think they're so successful here at Middle in their short time they have here?
I think because of the position they play. I mean, if you're a forward and you come into our kind of system of play, I mean, it's a home run for you. You've got to be able to execute. You got to be able to be tough and physical. But if you have a skill set with the things that are around you right there, I mean, and the development that those guys get, our staff does a great job. Our assistant coaches developing those guys day in and day out. So I think system of play, and obviously both of them, their talent level's high. And the biggest thing, they bought into the system of culture of play here.
What's the next step look like for this program, and do you enjoy that pressure? Do your players enjoy, having to go back to the NCAA tournament for a 3rd straight year?
And I don't think pressure is the word, but I think expectations is the word. I think everybody works day and night trying to create expectations in each of our jobs, wherever athletics or in your business. I think our expectations are high, and I love that. I think that I've kind of been brought up with almost the fear of failure, the fear of looking bad, and so it drives us, and hopefully it'll drive our team. And so we love the expectations. They'll be high this year, and I think that's a great thing for Middle Tennessee basketball.
Coach, with Ja'Cory Williams and Reggie Upshaw last year, they both like to take a lot of perimeter jumpers. But between Walters and Carl Gamble and even Nick King, they don't have too many threes under their belt in their college experience. So is that something they've been working on over the summer, or are we just going to adapt to their skill set more?
Yeah, you know, Brandon Walters, he's kind of a true five. He can make a 15-footer. He's a good free throw shooter. So Brandon, he can make a three. But I don't think he'll shoot too many. I think Carl Gamble can be a good 15, 17-foot shooter. Carl can make a three, you know. And like I told him in film session this morning at 6:30, I give a lot of freedom to guys who compete really, really hard on the defensive end and rebounds. Nick King, from our blue-white games that we've had, I mean, he's probably had about 26 or 27 in both games. He can make threes. He's one of our top 3 or 4 probably best three-point shooters on our team. So obviously that'll be a part of Nick's identity, you know. So I think those guys, you know, Davion Thomas, the freshman, can make 17, 18-footers. James Hawthorne, 15, 17-footers. But Ja'Cory Williams only made 2 of them last year. He was MVP of the league. But there was no better mid-range jump shooter than Ja'Cory Williams at his spot in college basketball.
I know at the mid-major level, you don't get a lot of freshmen to come in and make the kind of impact Tyreek made last year. Do you foresee any freshmen this year making a similar impact?
You know, I think that I think all freshmen are going to be good players on our team. I think Donovan Sims, it's up in the air. We may redshirt Donovan. We'll decide that after the second exhibition game. TJ Massenberg, we really like. He's hit kind of a little freshman wall, but I think his talent level is going to be good. Darren Schmidt right now has been in double figures and rebounded the ball well in both of our scrimmages. So I think if I had to pick a freshman now that can play in some of these games in November, Theron would be the one.
Coach, like you said, you guys get to make a trip to Hawaii this year. How excited are your guys for that? And do you have a favorite Hawaiian shirt that you're going to pack yet?
No, I don't yet. I tell you what, I wish we could look forward to it. It's just so many games before. But to look ahead, it's a great tournament because obviously it's an ESPN tournament. On those Christmas holidays, I know when we're usually off, I watch that tournament because there's no basketball on except for that tournament. And then when you get that field, I think it's in the top 3 fields of all the exempt tournaments when you do the Maui, the Bahamas, and that one based on the teams that are there. I mean, New Mexico State NCAA tournament team, Princeton, Middle Tennessee, USC, Miami, Akron's a NIT team, and then you got Davidson. So it's going to be a great field. So it'll be a fun time for our players, and we're going to get there a couple days early to enjoy it, but competition is going to be terrific.
You mentioned TJ. Is TJ your first player to come from an NBA pedigree, and does that have any effect on your team or his game, you feel like?
Yeah, I don't think so. You know, I think it's, you know, maybe it has a little something like horse racing, that maybe the bloodlines are good and it does have an effect, you know. But I do think that TJ, he's a smart guy. He's majoring the same major as Ed is mechatronics engineering. And but I just think right now, sometimes for these freshmen, the pace of tempo of reps and practice, it's a little quick for them right now. And whether it's in high-level college football games, that's why these talents come into places like Alabama and they can't really play as a true freshman. It's just the pace and physicalness is too fast. They'll finally figure it out, and TJ will eventually.
Coach, when you're putting together your non-conference schedule, and this one is as competitive as you could get, over the last 5 years with the improvement of your program, have you seen a change in people who will answer the phone, not answer the phone, or was there a kind of a mid-level in there a couple of years ago, and now all of a sudden, you know, the last 2 years have put you at a different level?
Yeah, it's a good question. You know, I see it, an increased improvement, Chip, in the exempt tournaments. But then the teams don't get to make those. The people who want the best teams do. And so next year we'll go to the Bahamas and the Atlantis, you know, and it's Virginia, Oklahoma, Florida, I mean, Butler, Oklahoma, it's all of them. So I see that. I still find it hard. We were trying to get in those charity exhibition deals, you know, and Tennessee wouldn't play, Memphis wouldn't play, obviously we're playing Vanderbilt. We thought we had a deal with Wichita State, but it didn't work out with the date of us going to Wichita State. So it'd be interesting to see, you know, will Tennessee sign up for, and we're willing to kind of give more than we get to continue some home series, maybe start something up with Memphis. So we'll see. You would hope that our RPI speak for itself if we continue to improve.